on the ground. Is that 47-1? 47-1. Like you said, once you get on top of someone, you turn up the heat.
Yeah. You know, for this fight in particular, I just, I imagine taking the fight to the floor at some point, and I just wanted to make sure I kind of showcase my ground skills a little bit more than I have in the past. So I'm glad it ended up happening that way.
You know, we've said it yesterday. We were talking to your dad last night when Bisping stiffed him on the barbell here at the casino.
You keep saying this.
I keep saying the truth hurts.
Honestly, I wasn't there.
Yeah. We think you are probably the most underrated champion because you're undefeated. I know a lot of people talk about DJ because you're undefeated. And I know tonight after the fight, you started chiming up a little bit. What is that about? You just
it's frustrating. You know, I feel like, I beat Anderson Silva twice, I beat Leo Machida, now I beat Vitor Belfort, and you still got so many doubters and haters.
Chris, coming into this fight, you seemed a little bit more emotionally invested than you normally are. You know, you had some words to say to Vitor at the weigh-ins. Going into the fight, was that part of like something you took into the cage with you, or did you just kind of like leave it alone and say, you know what, I'm just going there and fight my fight?
Yeah, it was actually, it was definitely my first time ever getting emotionally involved in a fight. But I made sure the day of the fight, it was just a straight up competition. I made sure walking to that cage, I wasn't angry. I wasn't trying to take his head off because that's not what I'm used to. I'm going out there and competing and just trying to mentally and physically break this guy.
Why were you so emotionally invested in this fight?
Well, his drug test, literally the day before weigh-ins, a reporter came to me and said, we found out, I called up Nevada Athletic Commission and we found out his numbers and your numbers. I was like 370 twice, which is normal during a camp. Your numbers are going to be low because you're exerting yourself like a crazy person. And his was 500 and then 1,200. And this is a guy who needed TRT because he would have died without it for so long. And now he has 4 times the amount of a 30-year-old, and he's 10 years older than me, pretty much. So he is doing something. He is somehow cheating.
And let's remember, the guy has history, big history with that kind of thing.
Yes, yeah. So it's, I hate to call somebody out on it. I left him alone all training camp and in every interview about his TRT and failing the test. I kind of just left it to the side. But when I heard those numbers, I'm like, this guy's, you're still cheating?
Weidman, changing the subject just a little bit.
Yeah.
Being booed a lot, having people doubt you, hate on you, I think you're more underappreciated than underrated. Glazer keeps saying underrated. I think that's just what in his head.
I think he's underrated.
I think you're more unappreciated by people, but it's because you make it look so easy a lot. But the question is, now that you're going to be starting to get cheered because everyone's on your team, what are you going to use for motivation? Because so much of what you said is, I use the hate, I use that as motivation to prove to people as a chip on my shoulder. Now you're going to, what happens when you get cheered to the mindset of a champion when you're the loved one and you no longer have that stuff for motivation?
Yeah, I mean, I have so many different things I use for motivation, and doubt and hate is definitely one of them. But I also have these goals set out for me. I have these dreams. I want to become the greatest of all time. I want to retire undefeated. I want to completely dominate this weight class and maybe even go up a weight class at some point. And so these are the things that really, truly motivate me. That doubters and the haters, they'll always be there.
I probably sound like I'm the president of the Chris Weidman fan club right now, but as you were walking out, I said it's crazy. I said he's a great family man, he's a great champion, he dominates his fights, but yet there is people booing. Why do you think that is?
If I had to guess, and then this is the way I like to at least think of it in my own head, but I think, I came up, I took on Anderson Silva at 9-0. I was a guy who came out and said I was going to finish, and people hated me for that. So I feel like they're still getting used to me. I came up so quickly and so young in my career that I think it's hard for people to kind of all take in and really come behind me.
You made it look too easy.
No, I appreciate that. I'm still bleeding on the table.
That's the longest active win streak right there in the UFC.